So GGPAJ has consistently called for an amnesty to support traditional farmers. How critical is this to creating a more inclusive and equitable industry?
Well, I think to look at the amnesty, you can tie that amnesty with the current reality of what the Hurricane Melissa did. It brought the opportunity to bring everything back to the table and to look at now where the industry had failed and where it should have been from its inception. So the call for amnesty is a reality check into the current situation where the industry is at this time. And we are hoping that given the current adjustments to the inclusivity of the players, the fundamental players that were not there from the first, it is a good time to really drive home the call for the amnesty, because it's a natural reset button that is happening right now within the impasse of the hurricane to really give the opportunity for getting back the industry on track with the relevant players. The new inclusivity of the recent rescheduling of the industrial Schedule 3 should afford such vibrant operation to look at the call to amnesty to bring a level playing field into the industry. I want to say something even significant to what is really how the amnesty will incorporate even the branding, the owners of that traditional settings, because as I said, the industry is built mainly on nutraceuticals. I mean, there is the aspect of the medicinal aspect of it, but the CLA regulation is to cover a nutraceutical industry, which covers the traditional farmers' inclusivity. Now, if you're looking at our current reality, why it is even imperative that this reset button is realized, the type of ganja production that is, and I don't know, Vicky and President Morris can give an account of it, is that there are a lot of foreign ganja being grown now. And if you're going to look at the brand, how is it that you're going to brand within a Jamaica brand and there's a foreign uptake of the industry? So there's an imbalance. So the call for amnesty is to even look at how the advantages that the outside, the international, the foreign inclusion into the industry would have tried to level the playing field by looking at another model. And it is high time that the local traditional be given an advantage in the industry, and those players where the incursion of the external with the foreign must look to know that if you're going to incorporate brand value, then you must pay for the Jamaica brand. You can't just come in as a level playing field. So that is one model that we say needs to be revisited. The time is now, because the opportunity avail itself because of the unfortunate hurricane manifestation, but it brought everything back to a recheck. And I believe it is still a narrative, it is still a demand that this reset button, read the amnesty, must be fast-tracked and introduced. The time is now.
I support my colleague in terms of saying that amnesty is important. Why it is important, as said, is to ensure inclusion of those persons who have traditionally been a part of the industry. So we have, and you would have heard on the news, this argument about guns for drugs and the illicit trading. And how do we get those persons out of that space? They already have the expertise. They are already growing, as Prophet says, there's the local production and the local strains. They would have mastered that. But however, in order to get them into a framework that is regulated, that is out of the informal, that they are supplying an informal sector, that you don't want them in that informal space, to get them into the regulated space, you must provide them some kind of respite, some kind of opportunity to move without feeling that they are going to be punished for their involvement in the informal space. And as such, we're saying as the association, provide that amnesty. What we have seen in the amendments that are put forward by the review, the amendments, is what they call a transitional permit, which I think is an approach to our amnesty, is saying, all right, we are going to allow traditional growers to come into the space at a reduced framework and to transfer. But we're saying, what of those persons who are out there already, have their cultivations in the ground, and they weren't initially a part of that regulated space? Provide that amnesty. There is St. Vincent and the Grenadines, our neighbors, actually copied our model, and in that copying of the model, they provided amnesty for their traditional cultivators who already had crops in the ground. And so we're saying, while they learned from us, we ought to learn from those other communities. And we're asking for amnesty to bring in persons who are outside of the regulated framework into the framework. And as I said, to transfer it from that informal frame to the formal frame. And so that will lead to greater inclusion and economic development for those persons.
I would say as well as for Jamaica too.
And for Jamaica on a whole, excellent.
Exactly. Yeah. And regarding the change in the schedule from Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3,
yeah,
do you think that could push the government to
it is important, because it provides us an environment in which now we can lobby, not just locally, but internationally and regionally, that to say, here is now, it is, the research has been done, the work has been done. We now see that this is not a plant that requires it to be criminalized, because it's like criminalizing the plant. And so it provides us with an environment in which to build a real industry. It also leaves us an avenue to move from what we have been lobbying for, to move from saying that the plant and ganja must be regulated under a dangerous drug framework, and to develop a ganja industry framework and a ganja industry regulation. So just like how you have a banana board, you have banana regulations, we want to have regulations for regulating the trade and business of ganja, not underneath a dangerous drug act framework. And so the rescheduling is important for us to move the conversation from dangerous drugs to an industry framework.